Hi there, my name is Sally Strobridge. I've recently been given a new sign name. This was given to me after working a specific job. Prior to that, I didn't have a sign name and would either spell out my first name or spell my initials. My role in leadership has been varied, and I've worn different hats as a leader. I've been on the Deaf Connect board as a board director for the last 9 years now. I'll try to summarise for you my journey before I reach the stage of participating in the board. It won't take me long, I'll be brief. In years 11 and 12, I attended a new school where interpreters weren't provided. I was given no access or support, so I failed everything at that school. I didn't receive my Year 12 certificate at the end of my schooling. I had nothing, just a big fat 0. I look at the work that scientists would do with animals, research, and think about how great it'd be to have a career in science. I knew that I'd have to study and achieve a university degree to have that career, so I approached a university and inquired about their courses. They took one look at my school history, saw on my transcript that I had failed everything, and said that I couldn't study at university. I told them that I wasn't the one who failed, that people had failed me for not providing me with the access. My experience was terrible. I was given no access for any subject. I ended up studying a bachelor's degree in science. Uni was such a shock and complete turmoil. I persevered and felt like I was working 20 times harder than the hearing people. I was buying all of the high school textbooks from years 8 to 12, biology, English, etc. For each unit topic, I would read the corresponding high school textbooks as well as the university's prescribed readings. I persisted throughout, and after 4 years, I attained my master's degree. That whole experience ingrained within me the belief that regardless of where a deaf person has come from, their background, or whether or not they did well in school, none of that matters. What's important is having the relentless drive to persevere. If you have that, you can do it. You may need to find the right person to support you along the way, but you can do it. If I can, anyone can. I've had an interesting journey which led me to joining the Deaf Connect board. I didn't put my hand up for the role, and it wasn't something that I decided that I wanted to do. I never saw myself as being on the Deaf Connect board. I didn't know that there was a board. I would think, oh, those people. Well, I wasn't interested in the politics that happened internally in an organisation. I was outside of it, doing other things. There was a deaf person on the board of Deaf Services, which was the previous name before the rebranding. They were persistently trying to convince me to join the board. I kept saying that I wasn't interested and couldn't be bothered at the time. They ended up convincing me to come along and observe one of their meetings. After doing so, I was completely uninterested in joining and just didn't want to. The topics went over my head. Economics, law, and corporate talk weren't my cup of tea. I had no desire to be there. At the time, the lovely Bobby Blackson, who was the vice president, member of committees, etc., was convincing me that a once-off observation wasn't enough and that I needed to attend a few times. I succumbed and said, all right. Every time I attended, I learnt something new. Now, I knew nothing about the corporate world, financials, anything to do with the business side of things. It wasn't related to my studies, and I was never interested. Up until then, I'd always hovered on the outskirts and had never been part of those discussions. I kept going back. All the board members were so lovely. They were very encouraging and supportive. They taught and mentored me. I finally got to a point where I was willing to give it a go. So I told them, yes, I was interested, after about 6 to 7 times of observing. When was I first in a board? Well, remember how I said that they were trying to get me involved and I kept saying no? I was hesitant because I didn't know how things worked. I had never pictured myself as a member of a corporation reading through pages and pages of finances. I hated maths. I was so hesitant, but I started taking baby steps to get involved. It was lovely. I'd been given the opportunity to learn about governance and was encouraged to enroll in a specific course about governance with the other board members. We were all encouraged to further develop our skills around governance, and it wasn't only me who needed to learn. Some members had experience and knowledge of governance, and some didn't. Over time, I kept observing until I reached a point where I started to put my hand up and clarify what was on the agenda. In my earlier years, I first met with the CEO, Brett Casey, and before that I had met with the president of the board. I would meet with the president to go over the board papers and ask questions about the topics or ask why something in particular was important. Sometimes when I asked a question, the president would guide me back to the purpose and the agenda. They taught me the structure of the meetings, how to stick to the agenda, and fed me with information until I felt ready to participate. From then on, I was officially part of the board meetings. I had a clear vision of what they were going to talk about. I knew what the expectations were and what I was expected to consider beforehand. I would clarify points if needed, and the president had helped me a lot. She was more or less my mentor and provided me with informal training for years before I gained familiarity and became confident. It wasn't a quick process for me. It took around 4 years. That was for me though. It could be different for other deaf people. They might pick up and learn things more quickly, but for me it took 4 years. I was very much a community-based person, so entering a space where they talked about law and all things corporate, that was challenging. But again, if I can do it, then other people can too. What does being a deaf leader and leadership mean for me? Yeah, very interesting. Well, for me, I had grown up feeling that I needed to think carefully about other people and make sure that they're okay. The importance of looking after and supporting others has been ingrained in me. When you look after others, they'll support you when the time comes. So that meant that I'd give up my time to do that, and that's a good thing. It's not something I cry over and regret. I wanted to give up my time to make things better for people, which in turn would make my life better. I'll wrap this up soon, but I wanted to take the opportunity to say to those of you who will see this or come across someone who raises this topic to take the time to ease into such a role. Rather than stepping away from the opportunity, give it a try. Whatever the opportunity, professional development, training, seminars. Take the step in through the door because you don't know what you don't know. Take the opportunity to observe and you will learn something. Some of what you will learn will make you a better leader. If you never walk through the door, you'll never learn. Once you step through and start observing, you'll learn about what you like. You'll learn how to be a future leader. If you keep telling yourself that you can't do it and look through the lens of other people can do that, not me, I would say to you, no, that doesn't matter. Go. Take the first step and you'll develop from there.